All right, front wheel. This one's moving. To get it in the garage, I had to actually take the wheel off and try to pinch the pistons and the caliper to try to make some movement, and it was super tight just to try to push it in. Again, I think because the hoses are so swollen. But let's get the wheel off and we'll see what we're working with. Okay, so, man, before these things got rusted out, these discs are in good shape. They're real thick. There's no edge on them at the top. You can usually tell based on how much of an edge there is at the top of a rotor here, kind of if the pads have been eaten into it. This one looks real good. Pads don't look crazy good. They're a little bit worn. But overall, it looks okay. I really do think a lot of what we're going to be fighting with here is going to be this rubber line. It's got this cool cork spring thing over it. Man, I don't even know what that is. Seems like it's integrated somehow over to it. But yeah, I think we're going to have to just take this off and then see about what it takes to replace this whole thing. It looks like it's going to be fairly terrible up here. There's a little tiny window. I don't know if you guys can see the window. Let me see. Yeah, you can just kind of make out the window. Move this over a little bit. This is the window here. You can just kind of make out the bottom of it. I don't know how a wrench is going to get in there on that. And sadly, this hard line here, this is one big piece that goes up. So this hard line has to get freed off. And then I got to get this nut undone so that the tube will drop out the bottom. And that is certainly going to start to drop brake fluid again. Which is not ideal, but you know, this is kind of how this stuff works. Going to have to break the eggs to make the omelet. So back here looks like, I mean, that's just screwed right in. So that one's going to be, get this off and then spin this one to get that one off. Frankly, I don't want to lose a bunch of brake fluid doing it, but I don't think I have too much of a choice. So let me go get some tools rounded up, and we'll see about undoing this first and foremost. I think I'm going to try to get the lower nut loose first, so that way that's already done, and if I get the top, although then it's going to be hard to hold this to get this line, because getting on this nut down below here is part of the tube. So in theory, if I get a wrench on that, I can turn this off, but I think we're going to try to turn this off first. So yeah, let me soak this down with some open and shut, and we will be right back. Disaster. All right, so disaster. Well, not really. I literally went to go grab the wrench to make sure I had the right size, and I put it in there on the wrench, and just wiggling it to make sure that it was the right size, this thing broke. I mean, you can see the end is, maybe you can't. I don't know if I can get it to focus. Let's see, can we get this to focus? There it goes. It is just, there's nothing left. It is awful. I was kind of hoping I wouldn't have to do front lines because, I mean, if you look at the rest of this line, it's in great shape. It's literally just the bottom of it. But it isn't complicated. It goes up to a splitter. So this will actually, I'm just going to collect the brake fluid so it doesn't end up everywhere. And then we're going to keep going. We got to pull the line off. Now we got a lot less to worry about since all the fluid's about to run out of it. And I would imagine that the other side's going to be the same. It's like anything else with brakes, man. Like as soon as you assume something's probably good because it looks okay, that'll be the thing that blows out on you. So it's not a bad thing that we're doing it. This was the disc. I was telling you, like actually doesn't look half bad. You know, you can see, as you can, the lighting here is not so great. There's no edge here. It's perfectly clean. But what's weird is the pads are kind of worn out. I don't know if you can tell. There's plenty on them still for like what we're doing, but they're not exactly new pads. So I don't know if someone slapped a rotor on it or if this rotor was just a lot thicker when it was new. I mean, maybe I'm more used to more modern rotors where, I mean, that's a whole lot of rotor for such a small car in terms of thickness. But yeah, we're going to let this drain. Not too much else we can do really at this point except let that sort of bleed out. and then figure out, you know, what the next step is going to be changing out that hose, get the hose changed out, do the same thing on the other side, and then once the hoses are changed out, we'll have to rerun the brake lines and make some new ones, which you guys have already seen and is rivetingly exciting. So yeah, I'll bring you back when there's something more interesting to report. Alrighty, quick update on the brakes. Last time we were in here and we obviously broke this brake line pretty quick on the driver's side in this little window here. Literally just touched it and it fell apart. So I didn't do anything with this side yet. I'm gonna do something with this side on video, but I gotta replace that line first. Over here, I already kind of did the things. This one I got lucky. It just kind of came right off. This one just unscrewed. The brake line was in great shape. I put this coil that came on the other brake lines around the new rubber line. Cleaned up the rotor. It looks better in person than I think it's showing up on camera. It's super smooth. I pulled all the rust off of it. It'll clean right up now, I think, once this thing gets rolling. I can't really finish putting on all the clips and everything over here until I can expand the pads out so that this pad catches its edges. So I got to get this piston to come out. I'm reusing the old brake pads on this rotor because there are actually plenty of meat left on them for what we're doing here. If I was going to keep this car forever, I'd probably replace the brake lines, but the brake pads now, but I'm not, and there's more than enough on this for this to get back on the road, which is the goal, like just get this thing back on the road. So right now what I have to do is the brake line that broke off is this guy here, which unfortunately seems to be the longest line in the whole car. It comes over here, it goes down, it drops behind the radiator shroud in here, and then goes all the way down. And it comes all the way across over to the proportioning valve that's here. There's some electrics on this, I'm guessing, to tell you when the brakes have failed, kind of like most cars have in the 60s, late 60s, early 70s. So yeah, I have to take this off. There's a little screw way back in here that holds this clip on that I have to undo. And then I'm just gonna unthread this and make a new line. Oh, I'm not my finger on the camera. I'm just gonna unthread this, make a new line, and go from there. I mean, it's not something that I feel like anybody's gonna sit and watch on YouTube, like, let's unscrew the line and let's rebend it. You guys have seen that, so I'm gonna come back when I get that line bent up and reinstalled, and we'll go from there. All right. So, driver's side caliper. Probably should have selected the passenger side now looking at this, and I'll show you why in a minute, just because I think that if anybody comments on this video, they're going to be mad when I put this back together. But basically, this car didn't roll because the brake hoses, these guys, are literally one-way valves. I mean, you probably can't see it, but if I look at the end of this hose, there's actually still fluid in it because it can't get out because this is completely frozen. So, unfortunately, what that led to is the car being locked up, and I'm guessing that somebody must have driven it with at least this side locked up, because take a look at that. I'm guessing you can see it. Let me get the light just so you can see the beauty of this. So you can see the inner pad has been turned into a ramp, and the outer pad, I guess it's the other way around, the outer pad's been turned into the ramp. The inner pad looks fine, but ramped at the other side. So you can see it's thicker down the bottom, thinner at the top, thinner at the bottom, thicker at the top. So what that tells me is that this thing has sat cocked on the rotor for a long time. Don't know how long, doesn't really matter. I'm gonna have to put it back together at least temporarily with these brake pads because I just don't have any other ones, and I want to be able to start to move this thing around. Not going to be great for highway driving. I wouldn't take it out like that. I will get a set of pads and throw a set of pads on this before I put it up for sale, just because, I mean, those are pretty nasty. I think in a previous era, you know, probably could sand those pads down and make them flat again, but I'm pretty sure these are going to be made of, you know, mostly asbestos, if not a large portion of asbestos, and so I don't want to be breathing it. So let's break this one down. You can see it literally as I took it off. I still got all the funk and detritus on here. But I think we'll start on the back. This is what you would look at if you were doing a brake job. Let me hold it in the right orientation because there's something kind of, I'll say interesting. I don't know how good a design this is. When I first took this apart, I wasn't sure how this worked because there's no slide pins. Normally the piston part will like have a slide carrier that allows it after it compresses to move and slide and adjust for the shoes. This didn't have that. It bolts directly to the hub back here, and there's nothing that moved. But what I found is that this is a pivot, and it slides down here. This whole assembly sort of twists like this on the carrier, which, you know, you can see the slide down here. And what that tells me is exactly what I need to know about why these brake pads wore like they did. Look at this, is all the way over. It could not go further over. What that's done is essentially cock this whole thing this way, which has made the pads wear in that funny orientation. More than likely it did that because the piston could never go back in. So it just kept pushing out and out and out and sliding this over as if it was worn, because as it wears, it goes this direction to bring the pads closer. Unfortunately, we've now got a little bit of a mess on our hands, but let's break it down. I think this view will work. Actually, you know what, a top down might be better. If I can do top downs with this thing. Let's see here. If I lock that there and put a little something behind here to give us a downward look. All right, well, we'll see how that does. I'll try to actually hold it up a bit as I do the work. I mean, there's nothing crazy about this. This is literally just pulling out cotter pins and trying to dislodge pads. Yeah, that'll work. That'll do. Okay, so let's knock the pins out. These are just these big cotter pins here. Don't feel like they're moving all that great, which is not a sign of good things to come. Just want to try to get these as flat as you can so that you have a chance at pulling them out. Because I don't plan on getting new ones of these either, since these are usually fairly reusable if you don't butcher them or they're not locked in. Yeah, I don't know if you can tell, but this one's coming right out. So that will free up the bottom. And we will put them here for now. This one here needs to be pinched. So we'll use the world's worst vice grips. I don't know what Craftsman was thinking back when they made these things. Hate them, but they work in situations. Basically, they don't really have, it's almost got like a clutch where it goes over center and grabs, but they don't actually grab anything all that great. You lose a lot of the vice action for that convenience. Right. Okay. All right, so those are the cotter pins out. This is just the retainer that helps hold the pads in the right spot, especially this outer pad here. This outer pad it's only got a very small window to ride on. Basically, it doesn't ride. It literally is supposed to kind of stay put within a margin of error, a little bit in here. But honestly, this is actually pretty gross because it's been wound down crooked. Let's see if we can get it off. Whoever did the brakes last time on this used some kind of orange, I don't even know what to call it, glue maybe? It's been a real pain to get this thing apart, the other one apart too. Same idea, yes, this whole thing is moving here. I'd rather get it off of that thing so that we can do the other things. There we go. And as suspected, it's glued on. Again, don't know why they did that. But yeah, I mean, take a look at this baby. We are definitely in the realm of jank on these. So, like I said, I'll put it back together with these. It'll basically only stop at the top. So it's not going to be great, but I will let me get the hydraulic system back together and be able to get the brakes done. Doing the brakes on the car is actually really simple. You just push the piston in with a vise, take those cotter pins out, and these pads just slide out. You don't have to take all this stuff off. Love that design. Just hate the rest of this because they wore them like this. Yeah. Now, I don't know. As I'm looking at this, there is no inner or outer pad. These are exactly the same. So what that might allow me to do is, instead of leaving them ramped like this, I may be able to switch their positions. Will that change it? Yeah, see, like if I switch their positions around, it actually makes a flatter sandwich for the outer piece, but it is going to wear like crazy on this bottom part and this upper part. Basically, I'll only have those edges of contact on that front brake until I get this together, until I get a set of new pads. But it will be enough to stop the car and to finish off the hydraulics because of all the lines and all that other stuff. So let's just finish cleaning this up as best we can. But certainly enjoy working on it. I mean, you'll find if you actually like or subscribe this channel, I've been doing this stuff for a very long time. I've had so many different kinds of cars over the years, but I don't keep anything for the most part. I usually get rid of stuff, sell it, move it on, because I enjoy the working on it part more than the owning it part. It kind of lends itself to a YouTube channel, I guess. Just getting this rubber glue crap with a fine bristle brush off of everything in here. Yeah, there's really not a lot to do on the caliper. It's in pretty good nick, as they would say across the pond. Yeah, just some random junk back in here that I think would behoove us to remove. Spider webs and whatnot. This thing definitely sat for a long time. No real leaks, though. I mean, I continue to be impressed with the amount of lack of rust and just overall condition of this car. I mean, like I said before, kind of had a few with British cars in the past, and maybe because of my climate here in the Northeast, I don't usually get versions of them that are kind of repairable like this, where you can put it back together. All right, so this one, let's see if we can get that piston to move freely or not. I think it's already back in, honestly, all the way. But there is a bit sticking out. So what I'm going to do is just get a clamp. When these things are in good shape, you don't have to, it doesn't take any real force to move them. If you have to use a lot of force to move them, there probably is something wrong. Yeah, and this one does not want to move nicely. So one of two things, it's either already in or it's frozen. Let's see if we can play with the bleeder. Might as well put it in like this so you guys can see. We're going to undo the bleeder here, see if that actually will yield us any movement of that piston. Like I said, it's possible it's all way in. I don't know. The only other way I could tell that would be if I put some compressed air on this and shot it out, but then I'm into the piston seals and stuff. And since this doesn't leak, I kind of don't want to get into that. All right, but the bleeder opens. That's a great sign. Ooh. All of the detritus in there is less of a great sign. So this, I don't know if you can see it, it's a little bit janked up here. The pin itself is okay, but I do have concerns at seeing that. Just kind of reaming the hole out so that when I go to bleed it, it'll actually bleed. I think it will. We'll run some cleaner through it just to make sure. Yep. Okay, so that's open now. We can try to put some more effort on the piston, but I am inclined to say that it is just it's just in all the way, or it's frozen in the bore, which is certainly a possibility. Now I'm wondering if maybe we don't put a little bit of compressed air on it and just see if we can make it escape a little bit. Because what will happen is, if it is frozen in the bore, I'm going to be a lot longer on this brake job than I thought, because I'm going to have to pull the piston out, evaluate the condition, and then really hope that it isn't completely, the bore itself isn't ruined, because I don't like my odds of finding these calipers. Certainly not here. It's a Lockheed caliper. I have a British Daimler Ferret. That's a armored scout car from the 60s that uses all Lockheed brake parts too. And I've actually had pretty good luck finding these. Actually, I'm going to be doing a whole series resurrecting that Ferret because it's been sitting for years and needs some love. But that's a different story. So what I'm going to do is fire up the compressor, try to put some air on this, and we'll see if we can knock this piston out. But I'm going to pause this so you don't have to listen to the compressor. Alrighty. Move the camera. I actually just figured something out too while I was waiting for the compressor. You can pull this pin out here. Nice little nest in there. But then I can take this off. Which, oh, maybe I can't take it off. Maybe I can just move it. I kind of wanted to take it off so I'd have better access with the vise. The clamp that I'm going to use. Oh, yeah, it comes out that way. All right, so I'm going to put it on just like that with the pin, just like that, so I know how it goes. I'm not sure if you saw me put that there, but that's what it moved it out of the way. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this clamp on. I've learned the hard way, the easy way. I've learned lots of different ways. When you do this with compressed air, the piston will it won't move at all, and then it goes off like a gunshot and shoots out, and maybe you lose it, maybe it puts a hole in your wall. Either way, it's no good. So I'm going to put this in. I'm giving it a couple of turns to tighten it to see if it'll move in a little. And yeah, it is actually moving in a little, which tells me that it is going to be frozen. So now I'm going to back this off instead of ramming it any further that way. And we're going to give it a little bit of space for the piston to come out, but not enough space for it to go flying away. And then we're going to take this guy here, and we're going to put some compressed air on this and see if it moves. Oh, it moves. It's moving a lot. Okay, there goes my copper sealing washer, which we'll need. Okay, so it does move. We're not in bad shape. That was really not even a lot of pressure. I kind of just, it's leaking, that tip. I don't know if you could hear it, and just the leaking alone allowed it to move. So we're going to give it some more room to exit and give it some more air. Okay, yeah, it's free. And the piston actually looks pretty good. It looks pretty good. Let me get you guys in here so you can take a look. Don't think we're going to need to do any more than that. You know, I've got a little bit of crust on here where it was sticking out, but that's not rust. That's just the junk, that red stuff that they used. I'm going to clean this a little bit more, and then we're going to push it back in and see how it is. It's not going to have to stick out this far ever to do its job. So if it comes out and moves this far clean, next step is going to be to make sure that it goes back in nice and clean. So I like to use real fine Scotch-Brite or steel wool for this. Again, you're just trying to take the crap off. You don't want to score the piston itself. I'm going to have to flip this over, I think, to get the other side of it. Yeah, I don't know if this stuff is... How much of that is... Okay, it is. It's just corrosion. It's a little chunky. Now, these pads that we're about to put back on here aren't going to push the piston in a way that's going to require this to be this far in. But when we get the new pads, we're going to have to go through this and make sure that we can push the piston far enough in without burrs. So yeah, it's a little discolored, but I don't feel it. And by not feeling it, pretty much indicates that it won't tear a seal. So we're going to take this clamp off. It's done its job and saved us from having this go flying across the room, because that's what it would have done. Now let's get down here real good. Yeah, most of what I'm taking off is this, I don't know what that red stuff is. I'd probably, in a perfect world, like to rotate this piston all the way around, but that's just not going to happen. So I don't want to risk tearing anything on the inside, so we will just continue, hit the camera, we'll just continue to clean it as best we can so that its journey back in is not an eventful one. Alright, yeah, it's actually not bad. You guys can see it. There's a little bit up here. So the seal on this thing is going to be back here. So this going in that far isn't going to get to the seal that's in there to tear that up, which is pretty ideal since I don't want to have to rebuild this thing. But let's go ahead and push the piston back in now and see how we do. I think we're going to do fine. Guess we'll just use the same clamp. Let me put a little bit of brake fluid around it. So is lubed on its way back in. No sense in making it get stuck. All right. And then let's go back to town on it. Actually, before we, maybe I can get away doing it with the vice grips. I like doing it this way because I can feel it better. We don't want to seem to move it. Yeah, there it goes. Whoop. All right, got one much easier there. Oh, there, okay. As everyone can see, she goes all the way in now. That feels bottomed out. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna give it another ride with the air, just to make sure it's completely free. That way when I do the pads, I'm not gonna have to worry about them turning into the disaster that the current pads are. Give that a little bit of room. And I haven't had to squeeze the trigger on this air gun to do this. It literally, just the air leaking out of the tip is enough to make this move. All right, up against it. A lot of hair more. All right. Yeah, pulled a little bit of detritus out. Not a lot. I think it's probably fine in there. Put a little bit more brake fluid on this, send it in. Might seem redundant doing this multiple times, but I've been in too many situations where you think you got this. Oh yeah, it's moving way better now. You think you got this done, and you put it back on the car, and it's just hangs, and like there'll be one spot. So I've learned it's not hard while it's off the car to just send it in and out a few times and make sure that everything is how you want. Which is what we are going to do here. Can't use my hands on it yet. Just going to use the vice grips to push it in, because I can get it in a little further than I can with this clamp. Oh yeah, it goes right in now. Very little force required to send her on her way. Yeah, that's all the way in now, completely flat. All right, we'll do this one more time. And if it takes more than one more time, I'll pause the video because I really don't think you guys need to watch the piston flying in and out. It's pretty much rinse and repeat until I feel like this is not going to be a liability back on the car. All right, a little more. Here it comes. There is a little bit of a sticky spot still. Oh, am I on this? Oh no, I'm on this. I'm lying. It's not a sticky spot. It's actually fine. All right, it's moving pretty good. Yeah, and as stated before, the piston's never coming out that far in normal operation. If it is, something has already gone horribly wrong somewhere else with this system. So let's get the pads back, or at least that piece that holds the pads back on. And then we can go and take a look at the rotor, which is going to be its own little pile of fun, I think. Oh yeah, all right, we are good now. No force required at all. So let's put this piece back on before I forget how it goes on, because it does look sided. Man, there's little dirt daubers things everywhere on this. This is just pushed in like that. All right, so I guess that does give this pad a little bit of give forward and back. Yeah, tis what it is. Okay, so this is moving good. I'm going to call the caliper done, except this pivot here, I do want to grease this, because I feel like this is something that should move freely. And moves pretty free for brakes, but I'm sure you guys who've done this before know how moving it with your hands might seem great. But then when you actually need the hydraulics to pull it back and just move that off the caliper a little bit, or the piston, or the rotor, anything that hangs it up tends to suck. So this moves nice and free now. A little bit too much stuff on there, not enough here. Like I said, I've never worked on a system like this before. This is new territory for me. My MGs all had drums, all 4 wheels. All right, so let's go wander over to the rotor and take a look at what we're going to do with that. All right, at the rotor. So you can see it's just like the other side was. It's kind of crusty, but it's not. If you feel it, I don't know if you can hear. It's not rough. It's rusty, but it's not pitted. I was able to clean the other one up just using a wire wheel and a little bit of 80 grit to pull the heavy stuff off. So I'll do a section so you can see that and see what it looks like and how it cleans up. I'm just going to run the wire wheel on it a little bit so you can see it clean up. I've already, just so you know, I've already cleaned this with brake parts cleaner pretty good to make sure there's no asbestos dust from the pads left on this. The dust you're seeing is just rust. So, that little section there, and then when I sand it, pull a little bit more out. And we're not trying to make it look like a cut rotor. I mean, it's not a cut rotor. We're just trying to get the heavy stuff off so that the pads have a chance to grab into some fresh metal. And we're running these older pads to start, which is actually going to be a benefit in this process because they're going to get a little bit ganky doing this, which is okay because ultimately we're going to be replacing them. So they'll pick up all the surface impurities, and then when we replace them, we'll be in good shape. I don't know if you can tell, but that's what it turns into. It cleans up good. All right. That was pretty quick for you. Took a little while for me, but this is in pretty good shape now. Like, again, it's going to get cleaned up with those pads running over it, but let's get the caliper reinstalled because I kind of want to get the brake line on it sooner than later, just because I want to be able to finish the line up top that I had to replace, which I can't do until this is on. So I'm going to go get the caliper and install that. Just checking down here to see, nothing in here really worth showing you guys, just more of those spider eggs, which seem to be everywhere on this car. All right, let me go grab the caliper. All right, back with the rotor. I did install this hose. It's the new rubber line. Like I said on the other side, this thing here, I don't know why they put this on there. I mean, I guess it's protection. You have to literally uncoil it. I'm not even in the camera. You have to uncoil it and then recoil it back onto the line. I didn't record it because it just kind of sucks. It's not fun to watch. So let's get this back on the car. Again, no pads or anything in it yet. We'll get to pads when we get to pads. But let's start here. I keep seeing these these bolts on the other side for holding this on had a lot of different, like, what I'm going to call them shims because they're not quite washers. So my guess is some of the spacing is set with these. We are going to reinstall as was reversive removal, or however you say that. We're not messing with it. We're just going to put this back on and leave it the shims exactly how they were, because I mean these pads on the back of them, I don't know if I showed you guys, they actually say made in England. Like the last time this was serviced, it was serviced probably by somebody who was like, I don't know if it was a dealer or an indie that knew what they were doing, but certainly not going to reinvent the wheel. You know, it's going to be easier to put the lower one in first. There it goes. At the top. So like you can't see anything, there's a cover back here, which I can show you, that sort of hides the spring mechanism for the pivot. So it kind of prevents you from seeing where the hole is. So getting the bottom in is the surest fire way to make sure you're in. And then once the bottom's in, it self-locates the top because physics. And then these are in. So what we're going to do is tighten those up. Alright, so we're going to tighten this up. I'm sure there's a torque spec. I'm sure that I'm not going to find it. I don't know. everyone who's on a lot of brakes, you know, yes. I'm working on like an older BMW, like a newer BMW or something, with all the aluminum parts that you can end up with. And I tend to pay a little more attention to the torque specs, but on something like this, I'm going to just go with real tight. It's so small and it's all steel. I'm sure somebody's going to cringe at that. I am the guy that puts lug nuts on with a torque wrench, though. You'll see that probably at some point. Nothing worse than you go to some garage and they put tires on a car, and then you get a flat, and the jinky little lug wrench that comes with the car is nowhere near enough length to get them off because they were put on with the machine. So I always do torque wrenches, especially with my kids' cars and stuff, on the lug nuts to whatever the spec is, because the spec is such that that little tool they give you with the car will allow you to take them off, which is huge because it really isn't anything worse than being stuck and having to call for a tow because you don't have the oomph to get your parts out. All right, so it's time to move over to, this was what I was talking about, the little cover that prevents you from being able to see where the bolt goes in right down here. Can't really see anything, so there's no way to like do a good job lining that up, so just bottom one first. Now I gotta go in here. This comes up and goes through there, and then this is the line that I made, which I have to install. I'm not going to film that because that's super boring, so I'll come back when we get this a little lower on the ground, or actually, you know what, I'll come back when we can do the pads, and we get the pads back in and see just how rough that's going to be with them being so crooked. All right, and so I'm going to try to put the pads in. Again, I know it's wrong, and now that this is together, you guys can sort of see how this thing moves in conjunction with the hammer. It's easier to move it. It's up against the rotor here now, but you see how it like moves side to side? This is what allows, I guess, the freedom of motion instead of slide pins. It's also what locked up and caused the brake pads to go wonky. So let's get them in and see what it looks like. Let's put a back pad in. Let's straighten this out, first of all, and get it somewhat reasonable, although it's probably going to have to go back a bit crooked just to make these things fit in. Yeah, like I'm gonna have to go high side on this just to get this in here. And it does sit on its little groove. Oh man, it looks so bad. It's gonna work because the plane of the rotor is still fine. But golly, I'm not even gonna grease these like I normally would just because they're so bad. I was talking about trying to put them on the other way to see if I could get better contact patch, but honestly this is at least going to grab everything. As terrible as it looks, it'll at least grab. Gee whiz. That is terrible, folks. Obviously she needs some pads, so we'll get those. You know, I'm kind of new to this whole YouTube thing. I don't know how angry people are going to get or what kind of comments I'm going to get. Appreciate it if you don't leave me a negative comment because I'm bolting this back together, but I will be replacing them and I will show you guys when I do. But I really want to get the brake system buttoned up so that I can move this car if I get it running. The jet comes tomorrow. I kind of want to get it running and see what the transmission's doing and find the massive leak so we can get onto that project, which is way more fun than brakes. I can't stand doing brakes. So I'm going to drop this. I'm not going to put the pad hardware on yet. I'm going to drop it down so that we can finish the brake line itself so we can get some fluid in it and get this piston to come over and squish the pads a bit. I have to do the same thing on the other side. Over and bring it up. Maybe you can watch me struggle with this. I don't know. I might edit this out later because, I mean, geez, it's brakes, right? Who wants to watch that? But you never know. So let's see if we can raise this up a little without everything falling. Alright, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take you off of this. And then I'm just going to tell you what I'm doing. So, if we get up underneath in here, you can see this is the line as I ran it. I've got some clips down there I've got to get it into. I've got to get it into this clip. And then I got to put this big clamp here back on the middle. Something I thought was interesting when I took that clamp off, which has been there, I think, forever. I don't think it's ever been off. down here underneath, there's 3 coats of yellow on this. There's this lighter yellow, there's this yellow that the car is now, but there's like a doo-doo brown in there. I don't know if that's primer. It could very well just be the primer layer, and this lighter color is the original yellow, but I don't know. Is that a primer? Is this yellow, the lighter yellow, a top coat to make the bright yellow that they put on stick? I feel like this lighter yellow is kind of a gross color. I doubt the car would be this color. But it is flaking and peeling everywhere under here. So, hey, look, there's more. Oh, that's metal. All right, so it is just canary yellow, I don't know, weird light color yellow, and then metal. I don't know. Anyway, I got to get this line into this block here. Boop. It's nice soft copper. I'm going to bend it and shape it nice. I'll show you guys what it looks like when I get it done. All right. If I said it 100 times in this video, I'll say it again. This copper nickel line is life-changing if you've done a lot of brake work before. To be able to bend this and have nice curves in it and get it where it needs to go, I am going to pull this wire out because I don't like where it's sitting anyway. It's just that weird thing I was telling everybody about on the isolator, which I took the car back off because we got to put the jet in it anyway. I'll straighten the line out a little bit. I'll get this wire up over it. But that's really it. I mean, at this point, I'm going to dump brake fluid or more brake fluid into here, and we are going to hope and pray that it does not leak, because that would suck if it leaked. Ugh. And then we're going to put this thing back up in the air and do some gravity bleeding. Ooh, you know what? There's a little scum edge in here. Oh, it's on the ledge. Okay, it's part of it. So this is going to have massive amounts of bleeding that needs to be done. I am kind of hoping that with that little bit, I can crack the bleeders underneath just to get some fluid down there, and we can get the pistons to pop out of their bores a little bit. And that way we'll be able to work some magic with the brake pads. So I'm going to crack those bleeders open, and we will start to let that drip, and I'll be right back. All right. Filled it up with fluid, did the pumpy pump. We got pad contact here. Can still turn them, but it's stiff. It's going to need to be run, obviously, with the rotors not being perfect and the pads being slightly out of position. But it was enough to put the pins and such back in on this. Can I zoom out a little? Yeah. Same thing on the other side where we have our our crooked monstrosity. I mean, those pads are in there. I don't know how well you can see it. But yeah, I mean, it looks terrible. Like to the camera, it looks like the rotor's crooked, but it's really just the orientation of the swinging side-to-side motion of this this caliper bracket. That'll straighten out once we get actual straight pads in there. But for now, we have good contact surface. I mean, those pads are terrible, but they will stop the car. So yeah, I'm going to raise it back up, and then really should bleed these a bit. And we got to put the rear wheels back on. I got no real good pedal right now because with the rear wheels open and their air in the front here, I just got mostly floppy. But let's get it back up in the air, and then we can see what there is to see as far as getting the pad pins and stuff back in. Turn the wheel. We can just manhandle the wheel so you can see. All right, so this really is as simple as reinstalling this plate. Follows this curve, so like a little slot for whatever reason goes on the outside. And these ride in this channel here. So I'm pretty sure I've got these pins. And now we have to do the same thing on this side. Top, I should say. It's not really the side. This one's going easier. I guess this thing found its orientation. Happy. Go. Typical routine is you just bend up one flap. Yeah. Hit. Gonna get a plier so I don't wreck my hand. Because I will. Again, knowing that we're going to be back in here to do pads. Not going to go hog wild here. It's certainly, oh, I see a drip. We are dripping brake fluid, folks. Looks like it's coming from up high. That tells me it is the line that I probably just installed up top dripping. Let's investigate. I'm going to rinse and repeat the brakes on the other side. I'm going to drop this back down and then we will find the leak. Alrighty, big shock. It's leaking at the one I did here. I'm going to try to tighten it and hope that that fun drip stops. Going to be really disappointing if that flare just didn't work out like I wanted and I have to redo this. But wouldn't also be the first time that's happened to me, because that's the fun of doing brake lines. This copper stuff's pretty soft. I like to think it's going to find a home and smush its way in, but I guess we'll... Oh, it's loose. Hey, who's the idiot that didn't even tighten it? That's this guy. Wow. Do I leave this in? Oh, man, I mean, I guess me being an idiot is kind of part of the experience, but golly, didn't even tighten it up. I got so excited to put brake fluid in it. Yeah, I didn't even tighten that. That's a little bit embarrassing, but... You know, I guess you want real, right? The hard hitting, the way it really is. Well, that's how it is. People do dumb stuff. Probably never going to hear the end of it when my friends watch this, but what can you do? Not the first time. Anybody who says that they've never done it, I'm going to call a liar. All right. That's pretty tight. Let's get some, oh, convenient rag right here. Let's dry it off and see if it continues to leak. Be ironic if I left it loose, but it still had a problem with the flare. Oh, I don't see anything. Definitely something to keep an eye on, though. Yeah, it's dry right now. All right, well, that was uneventful. I am going to put the pins over on this broken side of the brakes, which you can't see because I forgot to bring the light, and then we're going to start putting things back together. Moment, please. Alrighty, folks, that pretty much wraps up the brakes. I cleaned the floor up. I don't see any additional leaks. We gravity bled the system. This wheel turning like it's supposed to, a little bit of drag. This wheel, a little bit of drag. This guy here, a little bit of drag, not much. This one over here is a little stiff, but it feels like it's just those pads. Yeah, so I have a bit of a pedal. I mean, I didn't bleed this at all. You guys probably watched. I mean, I just opened bleeders until stuff ran out for the most part and gravity bled it just to get most of the air out. I got a pretty squishy pedal still, but it goes to the floor and now it's starting to firm up. So I got air. I mean, I know I got air in it, which is fine. It's completely normal. I haven't bled them yet. That's another process that I just can't imagine anybody really wants to see someone do, is bleed brakes. So probably not going to film that. We'll put this guy down again on the ground so we can start up here. My hope is that tomorrow I get the main jet and we can actually do the carb, finish the carb with its stupid rig job main jet that really doesn't do all that much except make it idle horribly high and fast. But yeah, that'll be the next video. Would probably be me doing a compression test and adjusting the valves to make sure that they're good. Not in that order. I'll do the valves first to make sure the compression test is accurate. And then we'll see what we get. Like I said, I really don't know what it's going to be. But yeah, that's it for brakes. Thanks for watching. I'm going to say what all the YouTube cool kids say, you know, like and subscribe. That'd be great. Definitely leave comments. I made some mistakes all over the place on this. As you spot them, feel free to leave them in the comments and, you know, point out the stuff that you would have done different. That's what I do a lot of times on YouTube. So yeah, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you soon.